Welcome to our session on Kodály. We are glad that you are able to join us. In order to use the principles and techniques that are inherent in Kodály pedagogy, there are some foundational background principles that are extremely helpful in understanding the pedagogy, and that is where we will begin. First of all, who is Kodály? Where is he from? He was born in Kecskemét, Hungary in 1882, raised in a musical family. A friend of Béla Bartók, with whom he collected Hungarian folk music, making sure that it would be preserved. He was a professor of music theory and became concerned with the musical training or the lack thereof in his very own country, which led him on a journey that has impacted the world of music education. It's a fascinating story, but one that we don't have time to delve into today. I would encourage you to look into that sometime. So what is the Kodály method? Well, the Kodály method is a carefully sequenced child developmental approach to music education. And when we say child developmental, that's as opposed to subject logic approach. Child developmental, it is taught in the way children learn. In this approach, musical concepts, melody, rhythm, expressive concepts are taught slowly, deliberately, and sequentially, and also logically, I should say, in 3 stages, that of preparation, presentation, and practice. The Kodály method teaches music to children in the same way that they learn language: hearing, speaking, and reading, ear to eye, or we sometimes like to say, sound to sight. Keep in mind that children are fluent in communication via spoken language long before they actually read the language. We shouldn't be teaching them to read music without them having a very strong foundation in music itself. In a Kodály setting, lesson planning and preparation take place both for the short term and the long term. And lessons are highly structured and include several short periods of concentration and relaxation. Kodály did not invent the tools of the method, rather he borrowed them from others. Tonic solfa, or solfege as we like to call it, came from England. And in Kodály lessons, we use a movable do with la-centered minor. Rhythm duration syllables from Jacques Chevet. The syllable reflects the duration of the note, as opposed to just counting. And so if we use ta and titi, or if we use ta kadimi, or if we use do day, or whatever that we use, it's really important that the syllables that we use reflect the duration of the note. Hand signs from John Kerwin in Scotland, and then finally movement from Jacques Dalcroze. Principal objectives in the Kodály and a Kodály classroom would be to develop to the fullest extent possible the innate musicality present in all children, to make the language of music known to children, to help them become musically literate in the fullest sense of the word, to make the children's musical heritage, the folk songs of their language and culture, known to them, and finally, to make available to students the great art music of the world, so that through performing, listening, studying, and analyzing masterworks, they will come to a love and appreciation of music based on knowledge about that music. In a Kodály classroom, students are making music. They're singing, they're moving, they're responding, they're demonstrating musical concepts like beat and rhythm. And when they're comfortable and confident in their music making, then we move into the realm of reading music, and we introduce visuals. Also wanted to mention here that we don't introduce reading concepts and things like that with them before they are very, very comfortable and confident with the particular songs that they're learning and that they're working with. Keep in mind that so many of these songs are song games, song chants, or there's dances that go with them. There are various activities such that the children want to play them over and over and over and over again. So through that process, they really know those songs very, very well. In an early childhood music class, Children should have the experience to help them to discover that music can be louder or softer, or principles of dynamics. Music can be faster or slower, principles of tempo. The size and material of the sound can affect the quality of the sound produced, or principles of timbre. Sounds can be longer or shorter, principles of rhythm. There is a regularly occurring underlying beat in music. Some songs have a feeling of stress or accents, which will eventually lead us to things like meter. Some songs are stepping or marching music, others are skipping or galloping music. There are places in music for taking a breath, which creates phrases, and phrases are going to be things that we derive things from. In some songs, phrases are the same. Some may be different, which leads us to discovering form. And then pitches may move higher or lower, or they may repeat, which gives us concepts of melody. Now, keep in mind that preschool children are not expected to verbalize these concepts necessarily. Rather, they should be led to an understanding of the concepts, and they will demonstrate them in an appropriate way for children of their age to demonstrate. As we move into first grade, the continuation of these concepts at a little more involved level, they're going to be a little more challenging, and we're going to use harder things. But once again, children are beginning to verbalize and beginning to demonstrate their understanding of these concepts. So what do we use? Where do we start? How do we do rhythmic learnings if we're getting ready to do making rhythms conscious? Well, we start with early chants, beginning songs, really simple kinds of things with young children. Bee, bee, bumblebee, stung a bear upon his knee, stung a pig upon his snout. Goodness me, I think you're out. We do all kinds of things with this, but notice it's very repetitive. Notice that it uses quarter notes and eighth notes only. Notice that it also uses only two particular rhythmic patterns. So we're going to do activities with a simple chant like this. We're going to pass the bee around. We're going to play with bees. We're going to keep the beat. We're going to mark the beat. We're going to step the beat. We're going to do all kinds of things. And when the students are very comfortable with that, if they can clap the beat, then they can transfer that to tracking the beat. And that's where we begin to move into this literacy. Tracking the beat, moving from left to right. When you get to the end of the row, you go back to the next row down the other side. Reading readiness skills, very important kinds of things that we do. This activity can be done projected on a board, white screen or whiteboard or whatever the teacher has to use. It can certainly be done in smaller groups, or it can be done individually with worksheets. Another chant that we use at the very beginning, Queen, Queen Caroline washed her hair in turpentine, turpentine to make it shine, Queen, Queen Caroline. Again, quarter notes and eighth notes, simple rhythms, using two rhythmic patterns. Obviously, steady beat would be easy to do with this, and so we do the same process as we move through the process of showing, identifying, showing, and then eventually being able to mark the steady beat. When students are comfortable doing these in different formats, with different songs, different chants, different games, then lo and behold, we begin to talk about long, long, short, short, long, or ta, ta, ti, ti, ta, or ta, 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 di, ta, do, 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 day, do, whatever you choose to use. Once again, talking about the way that the words go with them. Students can get really confused sometimes with just terminology that we use. Using the term rhythm and beat will get them very confused, but talking about the way the words go, they become, it's easy for them to identify what that means. So we begin adding, we're adding beats to rhythms, we're adding different things with that. Then we're going to reinforce that. with manipulatives, things that the students can actually grasp and play with. We certainly have always used popsicle sticks. We can use Q-tips. You can use people to show the actual duration, the rhythm of that. And starting with 4 standing next to each other, and then identifying who has 2 sounds, and then giving them a friend, and eventually showing the rhythm. Pool noodles work, rhythm sticks work, anything that will work with your children to give them an opportunity to manipulate and to reinforce those. If you're moving on to other songs and other things, and you don't, we really don't need to have a worksheet for everything, and I understand that. So having a generic worksheet, having hearts, using hearts to show the beats and things like that will work very well, or just lines showing the beat. Songs taught by rote in pre-K and K, and chants for that matter, will be used later for making specific tonal and rhythmic patterns conscious to the child. So bringing it into their knowledge base. It's important to keep in mind that what is the possible future pedagogical use of the material when we choose it. For example, we might use the song "Sleep, Baby, Sleep, Mother's Watch," that particular song. We teach it by rote, and perhaps we'll use it with kindergarten or preschool or even first graders sometime, using it for calming down, talking about soft songs, talking about a lullaby, talking about various things. Not going to do anything rhythmically or melodically with it. I'm just going to teach them the song and they know it. Might also be a good song to use to calm the children down before you send them back to their other class. But that song is a part of them. And then later, when the song, when you're teaching various concepts, you may use that song for that particular pedagogical concept that you're going to use. This is going to be the case with all of the learnings that we're doing. So while we're doing these early rhythmic experiences and rhythmic games and beginning to lay the foundation for rhythmic knowledge, rhythmic learning, the same thing is taking place with melody. That once again, we have so many aspects of music that are in various stages of preparation, presentation, and practice. And so with melody, what we're going to start with is we start with high and low. Can we identify high and low? And once again, this is another area where I find that children often get confused with volume, because they'll hear someone yell at them, "Turn the music lower, please," or "Turn the music down." And what they mean is turn it softer. It's too loud. But once again, that's a way, and it took me a long time to figure out why students didn't seem to understand the concept of high and low, and why they were not making those connections that I was looking for. But in this case, high and low we're talking about pitch being high and pitch being low, and using, again, our physical experiences to demonstrate knowledge of highs and lows. So then we're moving into talking about aspects of melody, and we work with making our sirens and exploring things with our voice, ups and downs, and can I go high, can I go low? And there's various things that we're going to do as we're beginning to look at melody. But then when we're going to be reading at some point melody, and we want to talk about highs and lows, and beginning with certainly pitches that are much further apart. So a high pitch and a low pitch, then a high pitch, there's a low pitch, there's a high pitch, low pitch, stuff like that. And we can notate it in that way of being far apart, but then beginning to also, as they get comfortable and confident with the concept, it's a high pitch, this is a low pitch, it's a high pitch, this is a low pitch, this is a high pitch, and various things that we do, and gradually bringing them together and eventually ending up at the minor third interval. So, for example, song "Starlight, star bright, first star I see tonight." Very simple melody, so in mi pitches. And so we might be tracking that with the stars. But then what we can go back and do is start moving them such that they're representing the higher and the lower pitches. And then, gee, we can just draw a line or put a line straight through there using a piece of yarn or a piece of tape, or some people, if it's small enough, use a rubber band. Suddenly we have a line and we have pitches that are above the line and pitches that are below the line. Gee, and then we can add more lines and imagine that, but we still have pitches above the line, pitches below the line. But then we can also get into the concept of space notes. These notes are in a space, or the stars. But when we're working with notes, we would say they're in a space or they're on a line. Again, another concept that they struggle with something being on a line, because they see it sitting on the line. And actually, they're not sitting on the line. It's a note that's around the line. So certain things to really think about when we're doing that. In that case, I use staff and washers. And when you have a washer, you can see right through the middle of it, and then you can find it and see that. Again, the next logical step is then to put it all together and to see, what does it look like? Starlight, starlight, first star I see tonight, etc., etc., etc. And in that case, with this one, we're actually starting to put the rhythmic parts along with the melodic parts and taking notation. So, as already mentioned, this is a process that is highly sequenced, carefully planned out, and very deliberate in the process of going from, again, sound to sight, but then also working in things that the students can understand and that are logical. This particular slide gives you an outline of what a Kodály program might look like. What would the melodic learning and the rhythmic learning look like in first grade? Notice that it's divided into preparation, presentation, and practice. And notice also that it's divided in this case by months. Now, obviously, we can never be guaranteed of when we're going to meet, how we're going to meet, how often will I see my students, and things like that. But I think that the bigger picture here is not that it's a prescribed thing that we can take and put right into our classroom, but it gives us a sense of the process. And the process is logical, it's sequential, and it's very carefully planned out. As a teacher moves through, obviously there would be similar charts and things for the older grades. And obviously things are going to get more complex. The songs are going to get more complex. The learnings are going to get more complex. Keeping in mind, however, that the process of moving sound to sight is still the process. And the process of students being comfortable and confident with the songs and the chants and the things that we're doing before we actually begin to have that literacy part go in and that writing, actual writing. We want to be sure that the concepts that were learned in earlier grades are reinforced, because we're counting on building on those. They're foundational things. Also keep in mind that things that we're doing in first grade classes will probably be preparing students for learnings in second grade classes and third grade classes, and on and on. So it's going to be very, very important that the planning is once again, very deliberate and very careful. The other thing I want to mention here that I think is very important is that sometimes I've had people misinterpret things and say, well, don't kids get tired of so-me songs and ta, ti, ta songs if that's all that they do in preschool and kindergarten and first grade? And that is not the case. We are singing songs that have all kinds of pitches and all kinds of rhythmic patterns and things. The difference is that there are going to be a very carefully selected group of songs that we're going to use for teaching those actual concepts that are simpler and are going to be songs that have the particular concept in a very obvious place, and it's going to be able to be reinforced such that the children can find it and can identify it. So that's going to be also very, very important. And also keep in mind that songs that we do earlier are going to be songs that we'll come back to later. And later we will add various aspects of musical knowledge that they can grasp from those songs. So for example, let's see what that looks like. Here's various musical learnings that are going to take place. And as the students are comfortable with them, they are going to get more challenging. They're going to get a little bit more difficult. Not necessarily difficult. They're going to get, I think challenging is the best way to say it, that we're going to challenge them with new learnings. But once again, we're still using solfege. We're still using rhythm. We're still using melody. We're going to be using expressive elements, dynamics, repeat signs, notation, various different things. So what does it look like? Well, supposing I'm in my first grade classes and I'm preparing half note. So we probably would have done a lot of things and we would have sung a lot of songs, but I would have chosen several songs that are going to have half notes as very prominent places. Who's that tapping at the window? Who's that knocking at the door? I am tapping at the window. I am knocking at the door. Simple, real simple. Oh, there's Sleep Baby Sleep. Gee, we talked about this earlier. Maybe we use this in kindergarten before we send the students back to their class. Once again, sleep, baby, sleep. Father tends the sheep. Half note's really obvious, really easily identified in here. Swing a lady um-tum, swing a lady down, swing a lady um-tum, promenade around. Again, half notes at the end of the phrase, and it's really, really obvious. Jim along Josie, it's at the beginning, and it's at the end. And so once again, lots and lots of experiences where we identified a particular music learning that we're going to do, and then we, once it's made conscious to the student, we revisit it, we work with it. And we go back. I can say that probably some of my most favorite, I might say best teaching moments have occurred when I have made conscious a particular concept, say half note. And then when we sing a song that we may have learned weeks ago, a song that we're not using to teach that concept necessarily, or even months ago, and all of a sudden the students get so excited and they go, there's a half note in that song. Wow. Or perhaps we learn a new song a couple weeks later and the students will get so excited because they can identify that concept in a new song. And that's what it's all about.
Welcome to Harmony and Sequence, Kodály in the choral setting. This is a look at the vocal performance path of a folk song in the Kodály setting, pre-K through adulthood. Prepare, present, practice. Presented to you by Ruth Dwyer. This video was created for the Indianapolis Children's Choir Teacher Symposium. Welcome back to the Teacher Symposium. This is video 2 of the introduction to the Kodály concept. In video 1, Dr. Dimick presented an overview of Zoltán Kodály and his concept for teaching musical understanding and literacy through singing. This video, video 2, will attempt to give you an overall view of how the Kodály sequence could lead into a lifetime of music making through the joy of singing and the choral experience. My experiences that I'm going to present to you today for teaching young children or inexperienced older singers to sing in harmony comes from 20 years of experience in public school music education. It also comes from an additional 30 years of experience with the Indianapolis Children's Choir. The Indianapolis Children's Choir is a community-based children's choir with children coming from as many as 50 different school corporations and different musical backgrounds and experiences. Whether they've sung before or played an instrument, it matters not. We're looking for singers in our organization who just love to sing and want to learn more about singing. Therefore, the sequence presented for teaching part singing on this page comes from a lot of years of experience teaching pre-K through college students. You'll notice that everyone should start out singing unison music. It doesn't matter if you are a child or an adult, you need to experience unison singing, singing by yourself and singing with others in tune in order to prepare the ear to hold your own part later when you sing harmony. So the sequence is unison singing, then ostinatos can be presented. In first grade, rhythmic ostinatos can happen. In second grade, we start singing melodic ostinatos. The melodic ostinatos become a major focus in third grade, as well as suspended pitches and descants in grade 3. For me, I saved rounds and cannons and partner songs for grades 4, 5, and 6. I found that if a child or a group of children kept getting louder and louder and louder in a round or a canon to hear their own part, it meant they weren't ready for a round or a canon. A round or a canon is meant to be a way to create harmony. So I always emphasize those more in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. It doesn't mean I never sang one in 1st and 2nd grade. I introduced what a round or canon was in 2nd grade, but we made sure that our focus of singing was still unison singing and ostinatos in those early years and saved our rounds and canons partner songs for our older grades. Homophonic part singing, of course, is wanting to sing in chords and all different styles and techniques and fugues and whatever. So those could be focused on in 6th grade on up, as well as we still maintain singing all the other forms and techniques of part singing. Preparation and ear training for part singing starts with cradle songs at home. When asked at what age music education should begin, Kodály replied, 9 months before the birth of the mother. When considering our preparation for ear training and part singing, vocal activities for grades pre-K through 3 at home or in a Kodály setting should prepare the child for extended part singing by grade 4. That is to say, in a music setting where the students meet at least twice a week for half an hour, by grade 4, well-prepared singers are ready to sing basic harmonic techniques with confidence and ease through a large portion of a song. Children who have daily music lessons, as in Hungary and other world cultures, will most likely progress more quickly in their ear training and vocal skills. Let's listen to the arrangement of Bim Bum by Shirley McRae. It will be sung by a beginning level choir at the Indianapolis Children's Choir under the direction of Sarah Hassler. These children are mostly 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in a group of about 30 singers or 40 singers in a given year, and they meet once a week for an hour and 15 minutes. As you listen to this arrangement, you will note that the teachable Kodály concepts are 16th notes, use of a descant harmonic technique, and an introduction to an accelerando. Enjoy this performance.
Bim bum, bitty bim bum, bitty bim bum.
As noted by Dr. Dimmick in video 1, the concept of prepare, present, and practice is based on how we obtain language. For instance, you learn to speak your name many, many, many times before you learn to read and write your name. And in the Kodály concept, that's what happens in music. We prepare our ear and our brain for learning how to read music, and we use the voice as the instrument in which to do that. Therefore, the Kodály concept of prepare, present, and practice is a many-layered idea in the Kodály sequence. It is used in learning one song or element of music in a 10-minute time span. It is used throughout an entire lesson plan from beginning to end. Prepare, present, and practice is used across lesson plans from week to week. It is used across the curriculum from semester to semester, and it is used across the curriculum from year to year. Let's take a look at the ear training that takes place at each grade level or a group of grade levels in preparation for part singing. In grades pre-K through 1, the focus of what we learn is vocal exploration. Unison singing, we want to start to develop head-voice placement. We want to develop pitch matching skills. We want to understand beat versus rhythm. Many other things go on. By the end of first grade, we can keep an ostinato going, a rhythmic ostinato, very pleasantly underneath a rhyme or a chant or within a song, playing instruments, doing all sorts of things. We know that children need to dance and move and have fun and explore instruments as well. But in this video, we're talking about the vocal sequence for preparing part singing. Let's listen to these 4- and 5-year-olds practicing their head voice. Okay, Lily, can you sing hello to Mommy and Daddy?
Okay. Hello, Mom.
And Dad?
Hello, Dad.
Awesome.
Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad. Hello, Mom. Hello, Dad.
Moving on in grades 2 and 3, our ear training and part singing remains mostly focused in unison singing, but an introduction to some simple part singing. We're now in the practice mode of all the skills and concepts we learned in pre-K through 1. Therefore, we continue our unison singing and beat keeping and exploring rhythms and expanding on those. We'll focus on extending the vocal range of the 8 through 10-year-old, and we'll help them learn to manage their head voice and chest voice. We'll continue to work with rhythmic ostinato and begin to introduce melodic ostinato. In late 2nd grade, the best kind of ostinato, melodic ostinato, to introduce would be one that is also a descant, a little ostinato above the melody to something. As the 2nd graders go on, if they're a very strong group, they can do suspended pitches, and certainly in 3rd grade, we're going to introduce full-fledged descants. This will get us started to move from unison to true harmony as we grow older in the Kodály classroom. Remember, a great general music curriculum will include choral repertoire, especially in general music classes in grades 3 through 7. I recommend you use at least 1 or 2 choral octavos a semester in your general music setting to introduce students how to look at a choral score. Keep in mind that the Ruth Dwyer harmony and sequence order of learning how to sing parts is an idea and a concept that works for me. You may have to adjust it and figure out what works for you, but it's a great place to start. Now, grades 4 through adulthood, if you have an adult choir who doesn't match pitches or sing in tune, then you need to go back and review some of those skills they should have taught or should have learned in early childhood. You just do them at a much faster rate, and maybe in a month or 2, you develop those kind of skills. So let's look at the focus on grades 4 and 5 in harmony and sequence. Again, we continue to practice the pre-K through 3rd grade skills. Our descants can get a little bit higher and a little bit lower, and we extend the vocal range. We continue to sing unison music to develop those vocal skills in new notes and new pitches that we're gaining as we get older. We use suspended pitches to lead into simple intervals, harmonic intervals, and chords. The intervals of a third and an octave and a fifth are the easiest for the ear to hear at the beginning of singing parts in harmony, and eventually we want to lead into, as young adults, as sixth graders, middle schoolers, and young adults, we want to be able to sing major and minor triads. Notice that rounds and partner songs become a big part of fourth and fifth grade. Sing them in the way, teach them in a way, and have the singers sing them in a way that it creates harmony. At this time, you start really doing more of asking your singers to listen to what they're singing. Stop and hold a chord. Stop and hold that minor third, and ask them to listen to the sound, the beautiful sounds that they're making. It can be a very rewarding thing for singers to learn how to listen to themselves and how to listen to the group. Let's continue following the harmony and sequence choral path through the use of one traditional song. In this next section, we'll follow how one song might be used throughout an early childhood and elementary lifetime of singing, to take a child from unison singing to singing some harmony. Kodály believed that you should use the very best repertoire for singers to learn from, and therefore he chose folk songs. In the United States, we're a melting pot of cultures, so we tend to use multiple kinds of folk songs from many different countries, many different nations, many different areas of America. In this section, we're going to follow Land of the Silver Birch. Again, in our second grade goals, we would use prepare, present, and practice, but we'd probably use the song to present a concept, a rhythmic concept, or a melodic concept. In this lesson, we would introduce the song by rote in preparation to present syncopation in the same year. We'd practice the song several times throughout the year, thus creating a standard repertoire for use throughout a lifetime. That means you don't just learn a song for the moment in time. It needs to be worthy of coming back. Maybe it won't come back until fourth grade and we learn to play it on our recorder. Or it might come back in fourth grade and then come back in fifth grade and we sing harmony. I'll give you several examples in the following section.
Jackson, and this is my sister, Catherine. We are going to be singing Land of the Silver Birch today.
Ready, here you go.
Land of the silver birch, home of the hero, where still the mighty moose wanders at will. Through lake and rocky shore, I will return once more. Boom, dida, boom, 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 dida, boom, 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 dida, boom, 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 boom.
As noted before, we continue the beginning of grade 3 is practicing all the skills we learned before and getting all the new singers up to snuff in case there are children who came into our organization or our school from outside of a Kodály setting. We're going to present suspended pitch and descants again in grade 3, and we're going to reinforce them and practice a lot of suspended pitch singing and descants as our part of our vocal track. Let's listen now to two sets of siblings who are going to sing for you Land of the Silver Birch and use suspended pitch. When we speak of suspended pitches for the young voice or the inexperienced older voice, we're focusing on suspension from the melody. So you'll listen to these singers will sing the melody with their sibling, and then one singer, the youngest ones in this case, will hold on to a pitch that happens in the melody that will suspend over the rest of the phrase, and then they come back in and they're in unison again for a while, and then there's another suspension, only this time it's on a lower pitch, so it gives them the experience of both a descant harmony and a chest voice range harmony. Still following the path, the choral path of a traditional song for grades 4 and up. Eventually, we're going to want to really sing harmony, and sing a partner song or a counter melody is one of the great ways to do that. In grades 4 and up, their goals are to practice or review known songs. This is the known song Land of the Silver Birch at some point in the year before you introduce the harmony. We want to use the score to present reading harmony. So we're going to read harmony from a 2-part written score. It's provided for you at the end of this video, so you can use it on your own. And then we're going to use the performance format suggested in the score also. This is also a worksheet that is presented to you. So we're going to practice. When we practice this, we're going to learn to play each part on our recorder maybe, or our violin, or the piano, or some other instrument at home. We're going to add Orff instruments to practice, so we have many repetitions of singing the 2 parts, singing in unison, singing in 2 parts, singing in unison, singing in 2 parts. You might ask the students to create their own little arrangement to determine what order to sing or play the parts in. You might have them suggest that they sing it in unison, and then they play it on their recorder in unison, and then they sing it in parts, and then they play it on the recorder in parts.
Members of the Columbus, Indiana Children's Choir performing an arrangement of Land of the Silver Birch written specifically for them so that we could talk about using ostinato to create harmony. And once again, we have Jackson, raise your hand, Jackson, Catherine, Amelia, Alyssa, Molly, and Mrs. Garcia. Here we go, Molly.
I hope this video has been of help to you in seeing how the Kodály concept of prepare, present, and practice is a short-term idea as well as a long-term idea, and it carries on throughout a lifetime of singing, that we're always learning how to read new words. Music's the same way. We are always learning how to read new music. Here is a little bonus for you. The singers used in this video are from the Columbus, Indiana Children's Choir, which is a division of the Indianapolis Children's Choir. It is a cooperation between the Indianapolis Children's Choir and the Columbus, Indiana Philharmonic Orchestra. I purposely chose siblings for this event because it is COVID season and the siblings could stand next to each other and the rest of us could be 15 to 20 feet away from them. And so our singers were given the music 2 days before the video and asked to learn the song on their own at home. So, true to folk music, we had number 1, our siblings. Catherine was assigned to teach her little brother the melody of this for this video. They chose their own tempo, and we have a little recording of them singing together. Catherine taught herself the harmony, and they were asked to sing the 2 parts independently and on their own at home. The second part of this little video was Molly. And Molly was asked to take on the challenge of memorizing both the melody and the harmony. And once that was accomplished, she was asked to try to sing the melody while playing the harmony on her violin. She managed this in the 2 days required. So we're going to give you a little bonus. We hope you enjoyed our video today. And we hope if you have any questions that you feel free to contact us at the Indianapolis Children's Choir and talk more about part singing. Good luck and good singing.
Here we go. Land of the Silver Birch. 1, 2, 3, go. Land of the silver birch, home of the beaver, where mighty moose wanders at will. Blue lake and rocky shore, I will return once more. Boom dida boom 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 dida boom 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 dida boom boom boom. Boom boom. Land of the silver birch, river, wonders at mighty moose, wonders at will. Blue lake and rocky shore, I will return once more. Boom dida boom 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 dida boom 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 dida boom boom boom. Boom boom.
Hi, my name is Molly. I've been in CICC for 6 years, and I am now a sophomore in high school. I will be singing the melody and playing the harmony. Land of the silver birch, home of the beaver, where still the mighty moose wanders at will. Blue lake and rocky shore, I will return once more. Boom dida boom 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 dida boom 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 dida boom boom boom. Boom boom. Land of the silver birch, home of the beaver, where still the mighty moose wanders at will. Blue lake and rocky shore, I will return once more. Boom dida boom 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 dida boom 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 dida boom boom boom. Boom boom.